Welcome to Nisreen's Art World. I'm Nisreen, a dancer and a visual artist with a background in graphic art and psychology, currently based in the US. This podcast is your gateway to a creative fusion of ideas where I explore everything from book reviews to dance analysis, all through an artistic lens in both English and Japanese. Whether you're here for inspiration, insight, or a fresh perspective, I'm glad you're joining me on this journey. Hello, this is Nisreen. Welcome to the 6th episode of Season 3 of my podcast. It's lovely to be speaking with you again. Today, I'd like to talk about one of the most underrated dramas in TV history, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. For those who don't know, this American musical TV series was created by Rachel Bloom and Aline Brosh McKenna. It aired between 2015 and 2019. Bloom herself played the lead role. The show has a playful, comical tone and is full of original musical numbers. The story begins with Rebecca Bunch, a highly educated Jewish lawyer living in New York. She is offered a promotion at her law firm. She panics, torn between her own unhappiness and her mother's expectations. In a moment of confusion, she runs out of the building and bumps into Josh Chan, with whom she'd had a teenage summer fling. Josh joyfully tells her he is moving back to his hometown, West Covina, California. On impulse, Rebecca decides to follow him there. She tells herself she's searching for happiness, though deep down she knows Josh is the real reason she moves. I have to say, this seemingly light-hearted romcom is a must-watch, especially for artists. By artists, I mean anyone who expresses themselves through creative work, drawing, singing, dancing, writing, or any other form of art. I will break down the reasons why I think so into 5 key points. I will avoid spoilers until the last section, and I will give you a warning before that part. 1. Are you a good person? Most of the musical scenes in this show are non-diegetic, that is, they take place only inside the characters' minds, mainly Rebecca's. This is made clear by how Rebecca herself can't actually sing, but in her imagination she can. Through the songs and dances, we see Rebecca's rich psychological world portrayed in a fun, surreal way. It's a bit like how some compelling manga express emotions through fantastical imagery. For example, Rebecca performs the upbeat pop number I'm a Good Person as a defensive reaction to Greg, a cynical waiter who calls her out on her bad behavior. In her imagination, she tours around the restaurant, insisting that she's better than most people. Quote, I'm a good person, that's my thing. My nickname is Mother Teresa Luther King. I'm a good person, get it straight. And when I say good, I really mean great, the best. #humble and blessed. Unquote. In this chaotic musical sequence, she even threatens a random woman at a nearby table, saying she will kill her husband unless the woman agrees that she's a good person. Terrified, the woman blurts out, "You're a good person!" To which Rebecca gleefully replies, "Oh, thank you." The more upbeat and cheerful the melodies become, the more clearly they reveal Rebecca's neurotic fear of being a bad person. This isn't just clever storytelling, it's also a brilliant example of how dark psychological themes can be transformed into comedy. As Thomas Hardy once said, comedy is tragedy if you only look deep enough. By exploring that intersection, a creator can treat even deeply disturbing themes with humor without diminishing their emotional weight. Sometimes the musical scenes blur the line between reality and fantasy, showing characters communicating through song. At other times, they highlight just how distorted Rebecca's perception of reality can be. In one song, for instance, a romantic rival taunts her by singing, quote, "My father didn't leave me," unquote. This person could not possibly know anything about Rebecca's parents. This reveals that it's all in Rebecca's head. This unresolved wound from Rebecca's childhood becomes a recurring theme throughout the story, linking directly to the next point. 2. Do you love your daughter? Like any serious relationship story, this one addresses an inner child, a little girl deeply hurt by her father's abandonment. This exploration of deeper emotional issues within a romance makes the story far more than a cliché comedy. As I've mentioned in several past podcast episodes, the artist within us is a child, impressionable, needing care and support. In the musical scene, boy band made up of 4 Joshes, Rebecca literally embraces the preteen version of herself while they fangirl over their idol Josh together. In a dream, he transcends the limits of a single man by becoming 4 different versions of himself. The aesthetic is an obvious parody of boy bands such as Backstreet Boys. Through song, the 4 Joshes offer a magical cure for her psychological pain. This depiction of Rebecca's unrealistic expectations also works as social commentary on fandom, how it can dehumanize performers who are, after all, just people of flesh and blood. A similar theme appears in the song featuring her little half-brother Tucker, "I Wanna Be a Child Star." This criticism resonates deeply with me, especially as someone from East Asia, where toxic fandom still holds enormous power in the mainstream. Yes, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend offers spot-on cultural criticism. 3. Are you just a girl in love? It has to be said, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is a committedly feminist show. The characters repeatedly point out that calling a woman a crazy ex-girlfriend is misogynistic. The show makes it clear that much of Rebecca's shame stems from internalized misogyny. She's embarrassed because she secretly labels herself as crazy, slutty, weird, basically too much in any way. This theme of shame is explored through songs like "We Tapped That Ass" and "You Stupid Bitch." Deconstructing these labels and portraying a woman as a complex human being is, in itself, deeply feminist. However, as I mentioned earlier, the show doesn't shy away from criticizing pop culture, and feminism isn't exempt. The most popular song in the series, "Let's Generalize About Men," shines a spotlight on the hypocrisy often found in mainstream feminist discourse. 4 women loudly sing as part of their quote-unquote primal ritual. Quote, "Let's generalize about men. Let's take one bad thing about one man and apply it to all of them." They gleefully call all men murderers, monsters, and rapists, ending with the tongue-in-cheek exchange where one says, "Wait, I have sons," and the others reply, "Your sons are gonna be rapists." This critical lens also applies to the main character, Rebecca. Both she and her family excuse her disruptive behavior by saying she's just a girl in love, a clear double standard. Even in sensual numbers like Horny Angry Tango casually highlight gender disparity. This is a flip side of infantilizing women, perfectly captured in a Marilyn Monroe parody song, The Math of Love Triangle. The show's social commentary is nuanced, never one-dimensional, and that's equally true when it comes to sexual minorities. 4. Are you getting by? I'd also like to take a moment to appreciate the phenomenal bisexual representation in the show. One female character who dates men in earlier episodes later starts dating a woman without anyone making a big deal of it. That kind of quiet normalcy happens all the time in real life, but is rarely seen in fiction. By contrast, the show affectionately portrays Daryl, a middle-aged man making a huge deal out of his bisexuality. He literally dances around the office with a bi flag, singing that he's getting by. A pun, of course, in the conference room of his law firm. His colleagues are clearly uncomfortable, not because he's bi, but because their boss is behaving so awkwardly. The scene pokes fun at the slightly silly side of LGBTQ activism, yet the lyrics he sings are genuinely heartfelt, reflecting real struggles many bi people experience. Quote, "Now some may say, oh, you're just gay. Why don't you just go gay all the way? But that's not it, 'cause bi is legit. Being bi does not imply that you're a player or a slut." Unquote. The moment perfectly conveys Daryl's personality. Awkward, a bit annoying, yet sincere and lovable. Both he and the other bi characters are written as more than stereotypes. They are complex humans who are, as the season 4 theme song says, too hard to summarize. The same goes for racial and cultural minorities. The show is known for featuring the first Filipino-American male romantic lead in American television. But what makes it truly special isn't just the cultural accuracy, it's that he's portrayed as a multifaceted human being, not a token. I'd say the same about Rebecca's Jewish identity, which is woven into the story through small, realistic details. It reminds me, in my own creative work, that authenticity, more than anything else, is what truly connects with the heart. 5. Are you facing your fear? We are entering spoiler territory now, so please skip ahead if you haven't finished the series. The final episode reveals a truth about art. The very parts of ourselves we are most ashamed of can become the source of our creativity. Rebecca finally confides in Paula, her best friend, that she's always been creating musicals in her head, that it's the way she sees the world. Paula is amazed and encourages her to share that gift. Rebecca begins taking singing lessons and starts writing her own songs, finally finding joy not in romance, but in self-expression. The show ends just before Rebecca begins to sing in front of her community, the people she's built a life with in West Covina. What a difference from the lonely Rebecca who once had to convince herself she definitely had friends. Now she truly does, because she's stopped running from herself. Once she stops alienating herself, she's able to connect deeply with others. Some might say Crazy Ex-Girlfriend isn't a love story, but I'd argue it absolutely is. It's a love story of Rebecca and her authentic self. It's about learning to accept who you are. This resonates with me deeply. I remember a time when I wanted to stop drawing because I didn't want to be myself anymore. Drawing was so tied to my identity, and I wanted to escape the shame that came with it. But the more I tried to suppress that part of me, the stronger it became. The only way forward was to face my fear and embrace it, just as Rebecca learns to do when she fondly calls her inner darkness her true love, Kyla. I believe all artists can learn something from Rebecca's journey. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is one of the best written TV dramas ever made, tackling complex themes like mental health, feminism, LGBTQ identity, and artistry with dark humor, clever lyrics, and irresistibly catchy musical numbers. If you're interested in any of these topics, this show will absolutely speak to you. How did you find today's episode? I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a review or comment. Liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel will be more than welcome. There's also a Japanese version of this episode. Please check the link in the description if you are a Japanese speaker or learner. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye for now.